name is Phil Chudley. I work for a company known as Dunstan Thomas Consulting, and I am a principal consultant specialising in enterprise architect and modelling. What I'd like to do today is demonstrate a feature of enterprise architect which is not that well known but can increase productivity dramatically, and that feature is known as the diagram filter. Diagram filters can be used by any person who's a modeler using Smart Systems Enterprise Architect, and it's a way of drawing attention to or hiding elements that are on any diagram. So rather than looking at a complete diagram, you can draw attention or focus on specific bespoke items. The diagram filter allows you to highlight or hide or accentuate various aspects on a diagram depending on certain criteria. First thing we'll need to establish is where that criteria is stored within the model itself. So if I just highlight one of these use cases, I've shown here in the phase a value of 1.02.0. In other words, this use case will be initially started in phase 1, possibly modified or extended in phase 2. This is useful for when people want to work in an iterative development environment, for example, or they want to focus on a specific area which is allocated to them, or just draw attention to something which perhaps has an issue or some means of clarification. All you need is a diagram. So open the diagram, and then you need to create your filter. Now the filter is fairly intuitive. What you get is a list of properties applicable to any element on any diagram. Check the property you want to filter on. For example, it could be date created, it could be status, version, and then set up your criteria: equals, not equals, contains, for example. Enter the value you wish to compare against, and that is it. The filter is available, and it's enabled simply by selecting a checkbox. A couple of extra uses of diagram filters would be to baseline models, for example. So say, for example, we drew a line in the sand at a particular date. We wanted to see any modifications from that date. This perhaps would be useful to a development team when new features are applied. The final thing you need to do is to set the effect, whether you want to fade the element, highlight the element, select the element, or perhaps even remove it from the diagram entirely. This drop-down list changes the effect that the filter will have on the diagram that's currently visible. So we can grayscale it, which in this particular case doesn't have much effect, but would if, for example, you were using colors. You can hide it. So if you want to remove those items from the diagram rather than just grey them out, that is a possibility. You can also select them as well. In this particular case, it selects everything because everything has a phase 1 built into it. In fact, this selection is useful for perhaps copying to the clipboard or other features where EA will use selection processes. For decision makers, diagram filters can be very useful because you could use a diagram filter to compare and contrast two different designs, an as-is, a 2B, or even a 2B1 and a 2B2. So you could use one diagram which gives you the overall picture, and then use a diagram filter or a selection of diagram filters which then gives you a different perspective, and then informed decision making could be taken place. Using diagram filters, we can simply use one diagram for both as-is and 2B. So over here we've got a diagram filter called Highlight As-is. So diagram filters can be applied to any diagram, primarily for producing documentation for various stakeholder needs in the entire system development lifecycle, thus improving quality, reducing workload, and thereby saving money. In Dunstan Thomas, we use it not only in the consulting branch, but also in our development branch as well. So we do have a wealth of expertise, not just academic expertise, but hands-on expertise. We use it, we've been there, done it, dug under the hood and found all these tips and tricks, which you may not find just by reading the manual. Another feature we'd hope to see in the future is perhaps having a more flexible method of filtering. The moment your search criteria or your filter criteria is hard-coded. So we're hoping that that will be enabled, like a dialog will come up, could enter something in the text field, so the same search criteria could be used in various different guises. But we'd have to wait and see what Spark Systems produce in the next release.